Hello, everyone. IIMA welcomes you all to Future You, Set Your Career Compass Right with Experts Insight, and I'm Kalyani, your host for this webinar. So today's topic is how to become an investment banker. And in this webinar, you'll find out about where to begin in an investment banking career, how to thrive as an investment banker in the long run, what are the key components that are required, must-have skills to excel, how does an MBA boost a career in investment banking, and more. So let's welcome our speaker. Today we have with us Ketan Shah. He's a founder and managing director of Panini Advisory Services Private Limited. He's an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and has held leadership positions at top firms like Daiwa Capital, Barclays Capital, Edelweiss, EY, SBI Capital, and a long list of other firms. Yeah, so let's welcome. Thank you so much and welcome, Ketan Shah. And thank you so much for being here today for this session.
Thanks, Kalyani. It's always good to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So let's start from the beginning. So very briefly, if you can just take us through your career trajectory so that, all our attendees who are new and who have never seen any of your older sessions, they can also figure out the kind of career trajectory you've had. Yeah.
Thanks. A quick career trajectory.
Yeah.
I moved out. I joined IIMA straight out of my BCom. I did my BCom from HL in Ahmedabad. And after IIMA, I joined SBI Caps. I was there for 7 years. Then I had a small stint in the industry with the Torrent Group. Moved back to consulting with Ernst & Young, consulting stroke investment banking. And then I moved to ICICI Securities, again in investment banking. And then from ISEC, I moved to Barclays Capital. I was one of the senior people at Edelweiss. And then I was the country head for Daiwa Capital, which is a Japanese investment banking house. And then I got caught up by the entrepreneurial bug, and I have now set up Panini, which is a boutique investment bank focused on M&A and private equity.
Okay. So in your career trajectory, which job, and which role was the one that made you decide that, okay, I want to be an investment banker for the rest of my life? Was there something like that happened? Yeah?
Yes. Actually, there was. So I did my summer training in Procter and Gamble. It went well. They hinted that they'd want me to join them. At that point of time, public issues and IPOs were a big sort of hit, and so I wanted to join SBI Caps. And here's the funny thing, Kalyani. Sometimes you don't get what you want.
Yeah.
And that in the long run actually sets you up, for better things. So I joined SBI Caps, but they did not allot me to the public issue or the merchant banking department at that time, which was the in thing. And then both ISEC, ICICI and SBI Caps, I insisted on that. They said no. And they put me in another department, which was advisory or M&A, and coincidentally, and that's where serendipity plays a role. I got my chance to work on the largest M&A deal in India till 1994. It was the Union Carbide deal. It just happened, and it was the largest deal. And I confess, it was not as if that I was the big deal, stitcher, and I wasn't the great guy then. I was just a junior rookie learning the ropes. But sometimes I didn't get what I wanted in issue management. I was put in this department, and that's how I actually did one of the largest deals. I was part of the deal team. I was there when one of the 3 people when the deal got signed. And in that, I found my calling for the next 30 years. So sometimes what you don't want can actually, turn out very good for you. So yeah, that's life.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about how at Daiwa Capital, what were you doing? At Barclays Capital, what were you doing? Were you doing the same thing everywhere, like mergers and acquisitions, or were you doing something else at all these places?
So,
and even EY? Yeah.
Yeah. So investment banking can be done for different segments.
Okay.
IPO or capital markets is also a part of investment banking. Debt capital markets is also a part of investment banking. Project finance syndication is also a part of investment banking. Private equity is also investment banking. Venture capital is also investment banking. M&A is also investment banking. So investment banking itself is across 7-8 segments. And what I have done across my career is to really work on each of these segments. And so it was different in Barclays and SBI Cap, which is more focused on the debt side. And in ISEC and Edelweiss, it was more on the capital market side. And in E&Y and Daiwa and now at Panini, it's more on the M&A and private equity side. So it's been different. And in all this, of course, I worked in the industry in the Torrent Group, so I have an understanding of how businesses actually get run and what are the challenges there. Yeah.
Okay. Which were the roles? There were back-end roles, and which one were front-end roles? And merger and acquisition, capital raising, underwriting, research analysis, which are the back-end and the front-end roles? Yeah.
So the primary front-end role is in investment banking origination. The senior people in investment banking are supposed to originate transactions. That is what is called the client-facing role. Okay. Typically, you reach there after a long sort of stint and a long journey, because you're dealing with people who own businesses. These are very, very sharp, very, very sort of accomplished people, and they're not going to deal with rookies. Okay. So it takes some amount of stature, some amount of capability to reach there.
Okay.
The senior investment banker's role is to get business in for the firm, because at the end of the day, we all eat what we kill, as it's a ruthless industry. Okay. You need to make money. You're dealing with clients who are very, very sharp, so they're not going to give you money for free. You need to really deliver value to them. You need to do what they would not have been able to do on their own, right? Okay. Otherwise, why would they pay you such fat fees? So that's really the burden that needs to be taken by the senior banker on the team. Okay. The sort of back office role is really to assist the senior banker in stitching the deal. This would include analyzing the businesses, looking at all the various balance sheets and public market information available, creating presentations, creating financial models, answering questions, prepping up the management, finding out new investors, finding out new targets, finding out new companies, analyzing the global scenario. So there is a lot of support that is needed to get a deal done. Think of it like a volleyball match where the people at the back end sort of volley the ball ahead, and the people at the net, their job is to smash it in, right? But without the support of the back end, the smashing can't really happen effectively. So everyone plays an important role, but yes, the most the front end roles are the most challenging. They're also the most competitive. They get paid more, but it's also quite ruthless. If you can't deliver, you're out. So that's how the whole lay of the land works. And each of these things have a different sort of market, a different regulation. Capital raising is very, very regulatory driven. Okay. Capital market for IPOs is different from capital market for debt. Okay. Investors are different. Private equity is less regulated. M&A has regulations if you're dealing with listed companies, but unlisted M&A is less regulated. So it's a complex maze of commercial, legal, and sort of marketing and analytical functions. And the only way you get to learn is to take a plunge.
Okay. So can somebody start from front end, or you usually have to start as an entry level? Is it only available for, like, you have to start at a investment banking firm at the back end and then
So
move towards the front? Yeah.
the way I would put it is that, look, if you are at the front end, as I said, this is a ruthless industry, and you will have a lot of targets. And if you cannot achieve those targets, it can create a challenge.
Correct.
So a better alternative is to join at the back end, but volunteer for front ending. So look, no, anyone can go out to market, and that's something that I'd like to recommend to all your people. People should always be in the lookout for new business opportunities, identify them, talk to them. And if you can assist your senior bankers in the origination, they would appreciate it, and they'll notice you better. You will grow faster.
Okay.
And that's the way you would do it without necessarily taking the risk of the downside of being only a front end person.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There was a question. Well, what do I need to do as a student who has passed out of BCom today to make sure I get into IB post MBA?
So there is because investment bankers get paid well, it's a very competitively sought out job, right? And in that sense, everyone wants to get a job in investment banking, and to that extent, honestly, you will have to compete with other students who want that job, right? And the way and because then the bank you're applying for will select you over other people, right, who are applying for that. So as a student who has passed BCom, your primary job is to really make sure that you have a good, there are two parts to it. One is the good front end, which is that you develop a personality that can communicate effectively, can give the confidence to the aspire, to the recruiters. You to do three things. You to develop your analytical skills. We used to have a concept called CCCF, that is conceptual clarity and contextual familiarity. So you need to understand all business concepts well. Start by reading the Economic Times or all financial newspapers. Keep track of what's happening in different industries and different businesses, right? The more you understand business, the more you can understand and analyze them, the better are your analytical skills. So you need analytical skills, you need awareness about industry, you need communication skills, and then you need to compete with the rest of the batch applying for the job. So it's not it's a fairly tough task, but never give up. And I think that those who are determined enough will find a way to reach there.
Okay. Now that you're talking about skills, so let's talk about skills. What are the must-have skills that you should have to excel? One, in investment banking. Secondly, what if you don't have certain personality traits? I mean, you're probably very good with numbers, and you're also good with spotting the right stocks that you need to put in money in or make money and all that. But what if you are an overthinker? You keep thinking about everything and you keep thinking about the worst scenarios and all. So yes, is investment banking very taxing for such people? Should they not pursue it at all? And if they should, then how do they train themselves to not have those these certain personality traits that have probably been there for a long time in a person? Yeah, what do they do? Yeah.
So I always think of investment banking more as a PA for life, and there is this lovely ghazal that Nida Fazli wrote, which I'm always a fan of. Safar mein dhoop to hogi, जो चल सको तो चलो, सभी है भीड़ में, तुम भी निकल सको तो चलो. So never set out on a journey which where the road has certain quality requirements. If you believe that is not your cup of tea, there are several other professions. Don't get enamored only by investment banking. Pursue what suits you and your personality better, right? I have seen lots of people do very well in life. IT professionals have done as well in life as investment bankers. Pure banking guys, research analysts have done well. Fund managers have done well. Just businesses, people who have done an agri business have done well. So I would not get, first of all, there should not be FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. Please don't need to have FOMO. Don't get stressed about that. Having said that, I would believe that it's not too difficult to be an investment banker, but you need to sort of develop the right attitude. For example, having anxiety and having negative thoughts doesn't help you in any profession. So I mean, those are qualities you are just better off right, being so it's in that sense that it's the challenge will be a little more in investment banking, because the volatility and the uncertainty is very, very high, right? You do not know whether a deal will happen or not. 9 months or 18 months, and one day before the deal is to be signed, it could just be called off. So you really need to have the stomach for a lot of volatility in this business.
Okay.
Right? So it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
There's a pot at the end of the rainbow, but you never know when the rainbow sort of where is that end. So those are both sides. I'm just trying to be transparent here. Don't get enamored. On the other hand, it's a great business to be in. It's one of the few businesses where you can make a lot of money without having your own business, individually. In a lot of other, in an engineering business, you may need to set up a factory before you can make a lot of money.
Correct.
In investment banking, you can be successful without having a large, huge setup. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages. Think carefully and then make a choice.
Correct. Okay. So let's talk about the skills, the must-have skills, hard skills and soft skills that one must have in investment banking. And this would include both back-end, front-end.
So there are 4 sort of basic skills that you need. First and foremost is an awareness of what is happening in different businesses, right? Okay. Investment banking is essentially an information and deal-making business. So if you don't have information, you're clueless, right? So you really need to be aware of what's happening in different parts of the world, different businesses, different industries, etc.
Correct.
The second quality you need is analytical skills, and to that extent, your financial concepts, your ratio analysis, your ability to integrate different things. So your analytical skills are most important, whether it is strategy, numbers, or balance sheets. The third most important skill is communication. So your communication,
has to be effective.
What you have in mind and what you are communicating.
Correct.
And how it appears to the other person can change.
Yeah, right? Can change the end game.
Can change the entire thing, and suddenly the deal that you thought you did all your hard work and all your genius spotting can completely go down the drain with sort of one. So and last is so communication is the third thing, and last is networking. Right? you constantly need to network between companies and investors. So if they don't know you, you can't get a deal done. So these are the four things that you need to be very, very careful about. It's a tough business, but if you can master these four, you'll do well.
Okay. Yeah, let's take a few questions. Is the pay scale for an investment banker directly affected by market conditions? If yes, is there any job in this field of investment banking which ensures secured salary irrespective of market conditions? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no, you can't get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Any career you go, there is risk and there is reward. The higher risk you take, the higher the reward.
Okay.
So in investment banking, typically the bonus is sort of, in a good year, you'll make a lot of bonuses. And if there are too many bad years, you might even lose your job.
Okay.
So in a 30-year career, I would say that there have been at least 3 or 4 market cycles where people have lost jobs. So basically, every 5 years, you can hope to lose your job. But you can hope to make more money in the other 4 years. But the key thing there is that an investment banker really has access to the highest viewpoints of other businesses. And you will see that people who have been investment bankers have gone to senior positions in other corporate firms, by the time they are 40. Right? So either you do well in this business or you move to another business, but you move to another business in a senior role at a sort of a better role. So it is a sort of interesting, high risk, high return career.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Does it help to have a CFA or any other kind of?
You're the only thing. You have to understand this. No certification can trade. The only way you learn in investment banking is you learn on the job.
Okay.
Right. But your degree, an MBA helps you. As I said at the beginning of you are competing with other people for that job. Yeah. So if you have a good academic qualification, it helps you compete better. That's all. Yeah. You don't need to do a CFA. You don't need to do any. An MBA finance is good enough.
Okay.
And don't chase too many degrees. Beyond a point, degrees do not help.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So for if someone is doing an MBA and is interested in investment banking, which are the subjects that you would say that they should ideally have in their electives and all that, that might help them to understand it better?
Yeah. So obviously, finance and strategy are the two most relevant, and you should know all aspects of valuations. You should know of sort of different ways of getting analyzing balance sheets and ratios and all. That's the first thing that you should be very, very aware about. So thereafter, your ability to your Porter's 5S framework, DuPont analysis. How do you analyze a business? That's and what are valuation models, Black-Scholes, futures and options, different. Some of those things are what you could study in campus and be aware of. But thereafter, different possibilities. It's how you apply and how you are trained to evaluate.
Correct. Okay.
I would say for investment banking is something where training is even more important than just the degree.
How should one start their IB journey as recent college graduates? As internships or jobs, what should we do? How do we get internships?
See, there is really unfortunately, no shortcut. The whole world works on demand supply. So you have to apply to the firms which are looking for interns or entry level, associates. And then if there is a fit, join them and take it from there. Keep in mind your own background, your own constraints and financial requirements, as I said, because this is a bit of a volatile industry, right? But it is also an industry where you will learn quite a lot and you can sort of leverage that understanding better. His or her question is that I belong to persons with disabilities with hearing and speaking impairment. Apart from communication skill, I can fulfill all the soft and hard skill. Am I suitable for IB? Shivam, you are suitable for a back-end role at IB. However, you should understand that there will be constraints when you become a senior person, and to that extent, while you are, this is something that you can still do while you are young. You may not able to get the benefit of that when you become after 10 years. Typically, when you graduate to a front end role, this can create challenges. So as long as you are aware about the limitation, you can still be suitable. And again, there are people who have done a good job by just remaining in the back office. There's nothing wrong. It's not necessary to always move to the front office. Maybe you're not always the best person for that. So that a lot of people have remained in investment banking, but in the back office. So that's I wouldn't rule that out.
Okay. Can you please highlight other options available to finance graduates, postgraduates, other than investment banking?
So join a corporate house in different functions. You can join a research house on analytics. You can join a sales role, in other businesses. You can join a credit card. You can join a finance or an NBFC business. So there are different types of roles available, and join wherever you're comfortable with and what suits your personality and your passion.
Yeah, okay. There was a question about what kind of people aren't cut off to be investment bankers. You did mention a little bit about the skills, but yeah, is there anything else that they should just? Yeah.
So I believe that this is a question of risk and reward. So, and whether you are better than all jobs. This is my general guidance for any profession that you select. Use two criteria. The first criteria is, do I like doing this job more than doing other jobs, right? First thing is, you should like doing what you're doing, because if it fits that criteria, you are never going to work for the rest of your life. You are just doing what you enjoy doing. I enjoy investment banking. I enjoy deal making. I enjoy finding capital for companies that need funds, right? So do what you enjoy doing, and eventually you will find success. Eventually you will find money, right? So first thing, you should sort of do what you like doing. I enjoy doing I enjoy dramatics, and I find Nautanki very useful in doing deal making now. The second is really do what you are better than your other colleague doing the same thing, right? Because if you are better as an IT person than your batchmate, do IT. If you're better than in finance, do finance. If you're better in sales, do sales. Because at the end of the day, all of us want success, right? So that is the idea of not falling to FOMO, not falling to the fear of missing out. If you are not good in something, don't just chase that job just because the rest of the batch is chasing it. Right. So I would always use these two criteria to select any job, and investment banking is just one more.
Okay, but how do I know that I really want to get into investment banking?
See, there is no formula which tells you what you need to, what you can or should not do. There's my view would be no harm in trying a few things. The way AI is working in the current generation, a lot of you might end up doing two different careers in over 30-40 years, right? in fact, in investment banking, one of the biggest skill set is nimbleness. People pivot, people move from one role to another depending on where the the market demands. In fact, my second favorite ghazal related to investment banking is again this Jagjit Singh ghazal. अपनी मर्जी से कहाँ अपने सफर के हम हैं, रुख हवाओं का जिधर है उधर के हम हैं. Investment bankers have to move along with the markets, and that's a great learning for anyone pursuing a career. You'll have to go where the markets are, or you'll have to create a path for yourself. Investment banking allows you to do the latter, which is why I am here. But you will have to move with the markets, and you'll have to move. रुख हवाओं का जिधर है उधर के आपको होना पड़ेगा.
Correct. Yeah. So, is it true that investment banks often prioritize candidates with excellent academics? So, if there is a little bit of inconsistency in academics, does that hamper somebody?
So, yes and no. What happens is that when you're applying and there are 10 candidates and let's say 5 are good in both acads and personality and 5 are only good in personality, you might just end up choosing the one who has both. But in the long run, I have seen a lot of people, some of the best investment bankers in the country, during my days when I started, whether it was Uday Kotak, Hemendra Kothari, Vallabh Sali, Nimesh Kampani, I don't think they were MBAs, or again, I don't even know if they were. Maybe they were great in academics and I didn't know about it, but they were never known for their academic brilliance. So I would not worry about academic brilliance. I think academic brilliance is good to have, but just because you don't have it, there is no reason to believe that you will not do well. Having said that, you have to be ready to work that extra, put in that extra effort. Whatever you lack, you will have to put in 10% extra effort for being lacking certain things. So you should be ready for that. As long as you reach success.
Okay, I'm a trader, but I want to be an investment banker. Can you suggest me how?
Again, find a good investment banking firm which recruits and trains you, and start from there. But you need to understand what an investment banker does, why he does. Any profession you do, understand what makes you successful in that profession. What is the customer who's paying you for something? What is he paying you for? And if you can deliver that, you'll do well.
How does one start an investment banking firm?
Apply as an intern or as an associate, and then start learning the ropes inside the firm. Do the paperwork there, and then slowly, and then that is, as I said, that'll be your primary role. But go and talk to people outside. An investment banker has to talk to tons and tons of people. He gets a pulse of what is happening, and based on what is happening, then he tries to create a role for himself by sharing his knowledge with the clients who may not have that kind of knowledge.
Okay, I'm going to join as an analyst in risk advisory in KPMG. What can I do to highlight myself and be eligible to get more exposure towards investment banking?
So again, as I said, jobs is always a demand and supply equation. Nothing changes that. If you're in risk advisory, again, keep track of what's happening in investment banking, and then keep in touch with the people who want to sort of recruit investment banking. Tell them that you're passionate for this role. You're willing to, and for example, test yourself as well. So ask yourself, if somebody gave me a job in investment banking offering me say 50,000 a year lower than what I'm getting in risk advisory, would I still go ahead for that job? What is driving you for investment banking? If are you willing to take a pay cut? Are you willing to go through the grueling hours of investment banking? If all that is yes, then I'm sure if you apply to the right people at the right time, remember, right time is very, very important in everything in life. It's not just about investment banking. It's about everything in life happens at the right time. And I cannot underemphasize this. Whatever you want, at the end of the day, markets are supreme. And if the market is bad, nothing can happen at that point of time. You just have to be patient. And all of us need to learn that there is no substitute for patience.
Yeah. So there are usually no openings seen on job portals for investment banking firms. So in that case, how can we apply to these investment banking firms? Is MBA the only way to sit for placements?
So I have done this twice in my career. Find out, number one, you have to make yourself eligible for the role, right?
Okay.
So and you to ask yourself, do I have some USPs which I can showcase to the recruiter? You only know what your USPs are, but you should be having that. If you have that USPs, twice in my career, I have reached out to the topmost guy in that firm, just sent a cold email saying that, hey, I can do this for your business. And they were first stunned that anyone can just write to them this way. But I was fortunate that they were also mature, and they actually said, okay, let me call this young kid, well, I managed to convince them that I can do this job for them, and I got the job. So who knows? Bet on yourself. You have to be, you have to take your chances. There are no there's no formula on what will work.
Okay. Yeah. So what's
and for the record, I took a pay cut, right? I took a pay cut to come to, it was not a formal pay cut, but let us say I was getting X in a smaller town. Bombay had a much higher cost of living.
Correct.
So, but I moved back to Bombay at the same scale, and to that extent, my cost of living could have technically taken a pay cut because I wanted to be in this space. And eventually, what I made was much more. But yes, are you willing to bet on yourself?
Yeah. Okay. What's the kind of work-life balance? Obviously, everybody knows investment banking is very hardcore. You're constantly working, but and also, can you tell us one challenging situation that you have had, and how did you find a solution for that?
There are 300.
So maybe one which pops out like a sore one. Like, okay, this kind of really was the one. Is there anything like that? Maybe in your earlier stages of your career. Now probably you're used to all that ups and downs.
I guess I can tell you there have been challenges all along. I have never it's not a rosy picture, right? And you could have bosses who don't like you and are maybe unfair to you. You could have competition which may not, somebody, you could be in a job and somebody else is related, and so he gets promoted and you don't. I joined, for example, one of the career moves I made when I joined when I moved from ISEC to Barclays, and Lehman Brothers happened just thereafter, right? In 6 months. Now the market crashed. And there was no appetite, and I was focused on the infrastructure sector as the longest debt profiles, and Barclays was only debt and they didn't have equity, and I mean it was just unfortunate. It was a horrible situation. And till the whole thing till the dark clouds went away, there was nothing you could do, and you just had to. It's like batting on a turning wicket, and you just make sure that you don't lose your wicket.
Yeah, correct. So how do you handle these situations? I mean, so basically, yeah, obviously, being patient.
As I said,
Being patient.
Kalani, there is no alternative. I mean, I think of it this way: 9/11 happens, right? The people, firms are closing down, they're making losses. What do? You just have to wait, because no one is bigger than the market, no one is bigger than the industry. And it's in a country of 130 crore people, I can assure you, none of you are exceptional, better than all the 130. You'll be better than a lot of people, I'm sure, because that's why you're here. But again, there'll always be somebody better than you. So yeah, you to learn to bide your time. That there's no substitute for that.
Okay. What are the key components required?
I think the key components required for investment banking are pretty much the same as what is required for any sort of other career. It remains the same.
Okay.
So one, you have to really observe it over a period of time. Don't jump to conclusions on anything at a point in time. Let me tell you my last favorite anecdote, which is about this guy who says कि मैं तो लखपति बन गया, and 5 दिन में लखपति बन गया. So obviously he has on his YouTube channel, he has some 2 crore people want to know, join की boss, tell us the formula कि 5 दिन में कैसे लखपति बनते हैं. So then he says कि नहीं ठीक है, ये दुकान से मैं रुमाल लाता हूँ 10 रुपए में, मैं मेरी दुकान सामने है, मैं 5 रुपए में बेचता हूँ, तो मेरे रुमाल फटाफट बिक जाते हैं. So obviously you can understand that they sell like hotcakes, but फिर तो so फिर लेकिन तू लखपति कैसे बना? So said नहीं, प्राजी करोड़पति थे. So 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 I think you need to observe it over a period of time is my first message. Don't get enamored by something that looks fancy today. And the same thing holds true for investment banking. You have to sort of do what you do over a long period of time, and you have to do it well, right? Two, investment bankers face the maximum amount of volatility, right? So investment banking is not for the faint-hearted, and so if you want stability, if you want predictability, if you want a steady 9 to 5 job, this is not for you, right? Okay. Right. But third is really innovation. Are you able to see things beyond? Are you able to sort of gauge the future? Are you able to spot the right opportunity? Are you able to communicate it well to clients? Are you able to be with them, give them that comfort? Are you able to guide them? So there are lots of things that are needed. Right, anything which is at the top of the pyramid always needs more than what is there at the bottom of the pyramid. So you will have to really justify yourself to your client, and if your client is comfortable that yes, he's getting value for your money, for his money, he will do well. So these maxims remain the same for most careers, right? Don't expect overnight success. Overnight success is rare. It doesn't happen. It might happen to a few people. That's a flash in the pan. Don't expect that it will always happen to you. But if India is going to do well for the next 10, 15 years, if you do your job well, I think I said this earlier also, do your job well and you will do well, whether it's in investment banking or anything else. And eventually, if you add value to your clients, that's what each business needs to do. Think of yourself, if you're doing in a job, think of yourself as the person and your boss as your consumer of your services. But you think of your manager, your boss as the customer of your services. Your job is to make sure that the customer is satisfied, and if you cannot give the best product, move to another product and find another customer, right?
Okay. So thank you all the attendees for all the lovely questions, and thank you, sir, for all the insights that you gave on investment banking as well as on life in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you.